Hello, listeners. Welcome back to our channel. I'm Auska,
I'm Chai.
and unfortunately, today we have a bit of a sore subject.
I'm a bit of a heavy topic.
Very heavy. If you missed the trigger warnings at the beginning of the podcast, we will be talking about what is the best way to put this? Uh, Scumbags that prey on children. I think
Yes.
that's probably about the best way that I could describe that. I ended up coming up with this topic because I was watching Australia crime. You son of a you little no, you lay down. Oh my god, I am so sorry. I will be right back. Somebody's decided that now he wants to go out. All right, well, I guess that's gonna have to be edited out.
Well, that's easy done, I guess.
Oh my god, and it's completely fucked up my train of thought. I was watching Crime Investigation Australia with my mother, and it was about a guy that decided he was just going to abduct and attack a young girl. I think she was 9 or 11. It was one of those numbers. And that got me thinking on this case that I kept hearing on the radio about a predator that kept getting jail sentences but was released, I want to say, like every 6 to 8 months, and would find another child to attack and would then get another 3-year sentence and would be out again in another 6 to 8 months just to repeat the whole cycle.
Mm.
So, and unfortunately, that just angered me to the point that I was like, you know what, we need to discuss this. We need to discuss how much our justice system keeps failing those that need it the most.
Mm.
Those,
Just out of curiosity, when was that case from?
I think that was between the years of 2021 and 2023.
Okay, so relatively recent.
Yeah.
So all of the data that I've looked up only goes between 2010 to 2020, but I think it's still relevant. So I'm here to drop facts when we're ready.
All right, well, let's get the facts out of the way and then we can move into the discussion part of it, because the discussion has to do with emotions, our emotions on the topic.
Yes.
All right, so drop us those facts that you dug up, Chai.
So I have a media release from the Attorney General and the Minister for Home Affairs. Oh, sorry. Attorney General, Minister for Industrial Relations, Leader of the House, and Minister for Home Affairs. So that's the Honourable Christian Porter MP and the Honourable Peter Dutton MP. So in 2019, they made a media release that said sex offenders to face mandatory sentences under coalition crackdown. And basically, the gist of it said that only 28% of child sex offenders convicted of federal offences, 28% of them did not spend a single day in jail. So that's 28% that basically got off scot-free, which is a shocking number, really. And then that begs the question of how much of that rest of that 72% had reduced sentences or got bail.
Or
Um,
worse, just spent part of their sentence and then got parole.
yeah. So basically, this was basically a government move to enforce can't brain
Or you're gonna
enforce
have to brain.
I'm gonna have to mandatory minimum jail sentences. So another one, so this is just general sexual assault statistics. Um, gotta find it.
Did they give a percentage for how many of these statistics are aimed at children?
So the media release from the Minister of Home Affairs and the Minister of Industrial Relations specifically says child sex offenders. So that is 28% of those who commit sexual crimes against children don't spend a day in jail as of 2019. Um, so
Sad thing is, I don't think that number has changed much in
probably
the
not.
last 5 years.
So then I have another one, and I'll link all of these in the description so that you can have a better read and parse it better than I do. But seven, in general sexual assault statistics, and this is for New South Wales specifically, 76% of people who had a guilty outcome in the higher criminal court um, were sentenced to serve time in prison with an average sentence length of 4.5 years.
4.5 years.
Yeah.
For emotionally scarring somebody for the rest of their life.
Yep. I should have actually written notes instead of just having these open. But anyway, so it proceeds to the conviction rate, and there was between 2015 and 2019 there was an increase to 4,444 police cases for sexual offences reported to the police, and only 19% of them actually proceeded to trial.
I mean, as sad as it is, a lot of people do prefer to just sweep it under the rug and try to forget that it happened.
Yeah.
And that's not including the large percent that's not even reported to the police. So, it's... Oh god, I can't even say that it's good that's being reported, because if they don't follow through with it, unfortunately, it doesn't do anything.
Well, yeah, so if it's being reported, but only 19% of those reported cases actually go through to court, then that's really discouraging for the people who are victims, because they're going to be like, well, it's not going to go anywhere anyway, and it's going to ruin my life in the meantime. Um, so a lot probably won't push, which is unfortunate because that means that a lot more offenders are getting let go or not even getting any reprimand at all and then just continue on.
Yeah, as I said that, I was watching that show with my mum, and yeah, it did remind me of that one guy in our state, unfortunately. Like, the system knew that he was a repeat offender. Was a literal repeat offender.
Mm.
And for some reason, I assume that they're just going to say that it's due to overcrowding in our prisons, which, go to hell. Just go to hell. I would much rather a murderer be set free than a child predator. Because at least a murderer is going to go after somebody that will hopefully fight back and put them out of our misery. I mean, they won't, but still. I would definitely prefer somebody out that's going to take a life than ruin a life.
I'm not too sure how I feel on that. Um,
Yeah, that's fair,
but
because...
it's an interesting take.
Well, I kind of feel that the children need the most protection. Everywhere.
Mm.
For one, if somebody, I mean, to be fair, if somebody decides to attack you, it's not your fault at all. because that person decided to harm somebody else. It is not your fault that you were attacked. I'm not saying that this is anybody's fault except for the person that has caused violence.
Mm.
But the thing that pisses me off the most is that this guy destroyed an additional 2 lives because he was let out from his 4-year prison sentence
Mm.
after not even serving a year. He destroyed an extra 2 lives. And I don't understand how somebody can look at that and go, well, this guy is clearly going after children. The most defenseless in... Okay. As defenseless as an elderly person. And we're just going to put him back out on the streets so that he can then find another child to do the same thing too.
Mm.
Well, I'm sorry, but how is that okay?
Well, clearly it's not. Um, this also kind of raises what my brother often talks about in relation to um, foster care, um, specifically children who are taken away by the DCP and then given to other foster carers are at a higher risk of being sexually assaulted by those carers. Um, and it kind of begs the question of where like, does the government actually even care
No, they
about
do
this?
not. Because my best friend unfortunately ended up having her children taken away by DCP, and they were put into the foster care system. It wasn't. I mean, the carer abused them on a different level, but it wasn't sexual abuse. It was actually the children that were doing the sexual abusing that were in that foster care.
Hmm.
Because a lot of them are taken away from homes where they are sexually abused and they don't receive the clinical help that they need to process that.
Hmm.
Which, again, I suppose is just something else that we can put down to the...
It is cyclic abuse.
It is. And unfortunately, her oldest was sexually abused in one of these homes. And when she got the kids back, he did that in his own home with his younger siblings.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, it's just... they just kept it going. Thankfully, she did get him the help that he needed. So he is fine. But the rest of them that are in the foster care system, where this is a daily thing for them, what hope do they have of leading a normal life
Hmm.
when the normalcy for them is abuse? Unless when they're old enough to unfortunately understand what has been happening to them and seek out professional help themselves. They've already got one of the bad starts to life as it is.
Yeah.
Obviously something happened where their parents can no longer take care of them and they have no living relative that can step in to help them deal with whatever happened. So again, our justice system just says, well, screw it, just throw them into a house with a dozen other children that have gone through something similar, if not worse. And we'll put them with people that are literally doing it for a paycheck and don't really care about the children that are under their care.
Hmm. Um, so going back to the data,
Yes.
um, something that I found interesting was that there were, I mean, there's different levels of jail sentences. So if the sexual assault comes with a, um, like aggression. So if it's violent sexual assault, the maximum penalty is life imprisonment. And I wonder how many people are actually being sentenced to that because, and as you go down, the less aggressive and the less invasive, it reduces down to like 10 years. So, from minimum, this kind of offense is supposed to put somebody away for at least 10 years, according to the Crime and Justice Statistics Bureau of New South Wales.
Well, I know that the guy in our state ended up getting a reduced sentence because he promised that he would seek psychiatric help for what he was doing. Clearly he either lied or the psychiatric help did nothing because he decided to go out and attack another child again.
Mm. So bravehearts.org.au quotes the New South Wales Bureau of Statistics, but in their numbers, the average aggregate sentence was of 68 months, and the average minimum term was just 39 months. So let me get my calculator out for this.
Yeah, the 64 one. Okay. But 39 months. That's what, 2.5 years? A little over?
It says 12. Hang on. 39 divided by 12. Oh, yes, that's 3.25 years.
Okay, so I was right off with that.
Yeah. So you've got the Bureau of Statistics trying to say that the minimum sentence is 10 years. And this other website saying that the average minimum is actually only about 3 years.
Yeah, but is that their sentence or what they serve?
That's the sentence.
Okay, I think I'm more inclined to agree with bravehearts.org.au because I don't know how it is, but they managed to manipulate the system something fierce to get reduced sentences.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, judges seem to take pity on these individuals that know what they're doing is wrong and still continue to do it, rather than the child.
That was also another interesting point that was raised in the Bureau of Statistics, was the age and gender of uh, offenders. So they did highlight that the, 98.2% of offenders were male.
Yes.
So in 2009, only 13 females were convicted of child sexual assault. And those women were given more lenient sentences because they they pled their case, I suppose, and showed remorse, and so they were given lighter sentences compared to their male counterparts. So there's also a bit of discrepancy in gender as to how severe your sentence is, I guess, and how you plead it. So they noted that it could just be coincidence of those cases just happened to be more sympathetic, and there probably were a lot of cases with male offenders that were also sympathetic. It just happened that the majority of female offenders were more repentant and so received lighter sentences. So I guess when you've only got like less than 2% of all offenders to go on, that's not really a huge population.
Yeah.
It could be a gender discrepancy, or it could be a coincidence that those cases just happened to be ones where the offenders were more remorseful for the crimes.
Well, that and when it comes to child sexual crimes, as you said, like, what was it? 79% of the offenders are male.
98%.
98%, sorry.
Sorry, more than 98. It's 98.2 in 2009.
Yeah, so they can't really kind of compare it at all.
Yeah. So when you have 482 males and 13 females, those are vastly different numbers to compare. So it could be coincidental that those 13 females were just more repentant. That doesn't say that all of them were, or that they weren't lying, or that some of them didn't receive more harsher convictions. It's just that um, on average, the female offenders receive lighter sentences. And whether that's to do with gender or not, it seems to be inconclusive. But that does bring up the sort of broader topic of general sex offenders, that women are less likely to be reported as offenders than males, because men are less likely to report sexual crimes.
That is
Um,
true, yes. Same as they're less likely to report domestic violence as well.
yeah, so it could be a discrepancy again that less women are being reported for crimes against children. And that's why there's such a small sample group.
Yeah, because as I was saying, when my friend's children were taken into foster care, her oldest told her what was happening, and she told our Department of Child Protection.
Mm.
They did an investigation and found that everything was fine within the house. So this child was put back into that house, and as a result, he actually began hoarding food because of what he was going through in this house. So I think that the it is less likely. It is probably less likely that women are being reported for sexual abuse, but I think it's also, as you pointed out, that women really aren't reported for abuse in general. Like, many people don't
Yeah.
come
So
forward.
you get a lot of criminal cases where a woman is suddenly reported for murder and everybody is really down on her and like, lock her away for life and stuff. But there's this gap. It's from 0 to 100. And there's this gap in the middle where the crimes are getting more and more intense and nobody's reporting them, nobody's seeing them. So it goes from totally fine to murder and everybody's just like, well, what the
Yeah, that is also very true. A lot of people seem to forget that murder is. People don't generally start with murder.
No. I mean, and there are a lot of cases where the murder is just they're at breaking point and that's the first crime they've committed, but it just happens to be the most heinous one. Um, so that does happen, but in a lot of cases, there's, you know, it's a build up. It starts with, microaggressions, and then it becomes more aggressive and more violent, and more impactful until it ends with either they get caught and put away and, given rehabilitation or whatever they need, or it takes over to murder.
Hmm. Well, with that being said, sorry, I kind of gonna change the subject a little bit because Jesus, take the wheel. Sorry to those that may be non-religious. um, with that being said, I kind of did just want to point out that in our welcome video, we did say that we may dip our fingies into Australian true crime.
Yes.
I, for the life of me, am trying to think of a singular female killer that we had.
Oh, I know of one that I don't know, I just really liked her case because it was just so batshit insane. Um, so if we don't mind deviating, I will tell you what I know about that case. But basically, this it must have been outback Australia somewhere. I think it was South Australia actually.
Makes sense.
Um, it does.
Sorry, rest of the world. No surprise there that this case took place in South Australia.
I th- I think, but I'm pretty sure. Um, anyway, she
Okay,
worked in.
well, maybe talking about the case isn't good enough if we can't even get the simple details of where it took place.
Oh, it took us. It took place in Australia. Okay, no surprise. Anyway, this woman worked at an abattoir, and she had gone through several husbands. And basically, the husband she got caught murdering, um, she had skinned him, hung his skin on the kitchen wall, and then made a meal for the kids and everything. And they were like, okay, yeah, sure. And then she's like, how did you enjoy your father? She had butchered the man and fed him to his own children. Apart from one child, she didn't like one of the children, so she didn't feed them. So she only gave it to the favorited children. But anyway, yeah, it was just such a insane case that I just became really hooked on it, and now it lives in my head rent free.
Okay, well, you might want to. Maybe we could discuss that one there a bit more in depth. See how it all kind of began and what year it took place.
Oh yeah, it was definitely like in the 80s or 90s or something.
That not that long ago then. Well, I mean,
Um,
relatively, it's what, like
relatively speaking.
30 to 40 years ago, which is, that's actually kind of not that long ago.
In the grand scheme of things, yeah.
Yeah, because as I was saying, can't really think of too many. I cannot think of a singular female one. I mean, I know of the Western Australian couple known as the Bernies.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that was were they north of the river?
I don't know, but
They're either I think they were north of the river. So, your neck of the woods.
don't say it like that. Don't say it like I'm in any way involved with these people.
Oh, no, you're definitely not involved with these people, but they seem to love your area of our bushland. Although, I mean, to be fair, I think they pretty much... Actually, yeah, I think they killed north of the river and then dumped the bodies south of the river.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, it really does, unfortunately. Just like the Claremont serial killer. Well, actually, no. He dumped one body south of the river, then one body pretty far north, and then my mum and I were discussing this because we actually watched the Claremont serial killer like dramatization, so to speak, on 7+. Because I mean, when it was coming out, it hit all the papers and whatnot, and Mum working at a petrol station, she was reading about it in the papers while it was developing and all that.
Yeah.
Because that was such a big thing for WA. That we actually had a serial killer. He was definitely after the Bernies, so I think the Bernies may have been in the late 80s to early 90s. And I think that was the last time that we had something like that until this guy appeared in the late 90s. And I don't think we've actually had a serial killing since then. Or a serial killer since then, so we're doing pretty alright.
Maybe we should research this and see how many serial killers have just been not brought to the media.
Well, the thing is that it's such a rare thing in WA that it kind of gets displayed everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. It's not the kind of
let's just put it this way, we are not South Australia where this is a common occurrence.
I was gonna say America, but, yeah. Sorry, South Australia.
Well, I mean,
Not
to be
sorry, America.
America's also got 300 million people.
True, true. I think we're sitting at about 25, 26 million, so
Yeah,
it's a bit of a difference.
a little bit. um, so yeah, like, but South Australia. I mean, they had that woman that you mentioned. They
Mm.
had, um, gosh, I can't even remember his name. I just know what it was. The documentary was called, which was Bodies in the Barrels.
Oh, yes. I'm not a crazy person, I swear. That is another one of my favorite murder cases.
Well, actually, I cannot remember what the hell this was, but statistically, it was proven that more women are interested in serial killers than men are. We find them fascinating for some reason.
And, like, if we're going to look at the numbers, and not think about it objectively or subjectively, if we just look them at face value, if more men are committing serial killing crimes, women would have an interest in that it's so far removed from the innate ideas or interests. Like, instead of being interested in doing them, they're interested in them from like a research point of view, like a what brings somebody to want to do that kind of thing.
And it also allows, especially like the documentaries and stuff like that, it allows women, because women are more preyed upon than men are when it comes to serial killers. Um, sorry. God, I hope my mic doesn't pick that up.
I can't hear it, so
So it also helps us to look out for the warning signs of that somebody who may seem completely normal might not be.
yeah.
So I think we're so fascinated with them because we are unfortunately the biggest target for that sort of thing, and it's sort of like our way of getting as much information so that we can defend ourselves, protect ourselves, self-preservation, so to speak.
Yeah.
And of course, there was that whole thing a couple of years ago with men in the Roman Empire.
That was like this past year.
Was it? Oh my gosh, that felt like so long ago.
No. That was relatively recent. And by relatively, I mean it was recent. It was very recent.
Which is strange because I think about the Roman Empire a lot as well, but I'm a history buff, so go figure. And being of Italian descent,
Yeah, like, I can't even count the amount of documentaries I've watched on the Roman Empire because mum was a history buff too. Like, she had a degree in it and everything. Um, so we watched a lot of documentaries. Um, and as she got older, she got more into the serial killer documentaries. I think she was always interested in true crime because she had a lot of true crime books, like, when I was going through the estate after she'd passed. I'm just like, "Damn, this is a lot of books about murder."
and well, yeah, that's just it. Because again, Australia, we don't seem to have that many.
Mm.
So
Especially compared to other countries like America, where it seems to be a daily occurrence.
again, over 300 million people.
Yeah, I know,
There's
but I'm just
bound to be
saying.
some mental unstable instability. No, that's not it.
Inst Instability.
Instability. That's it. Oh my god, I can English. There's bound to be some sort of mental instability going on with that amount of people. And I mean,
I mean, there's a lot of factors, for America that Australia just doesn't have, like, poor healthcare and that kind of stuff.
well, in all honesty, with the way that Australia is going, they're slashing the fund for bulk billing. Um,
Oh, balls.
yeah, so the our oh my god, yeah. So just simply put, our government sucks balls. Like, It seems more like the government is trying to turn us more towards an American lifestyle more than we want. Yeah, they might be the land of the free, but god damn it, we're the land of that will kill you if you breathe wrong.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know, land of the free sounds so much better than land of the that will kill you if you breathe wrong. Look, I've got barely any caffeine in my system at the moment. You're lucky I'm actually able to form complete words, like instability.
You do you.
That's about all I can do at the moment. Okay, so we've been recording for about 35 minutes. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be bothered to edit out the part where my dog wandered out of the room.
It makes the podcast more human.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
And not the fact that I am so lazy that I just cannot be bothered doing it. Okay, so unfortunately, yeah, this was some very heavy topics that we touched on and rather depressing topics, especially the numbers involved with how. I mean, I knew that the conviction rate was low. I honestly, I never thought it was going to be that low.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking to really realize.
I mean, I suppose at least we can say, hey, at least the conviction rate's in the double digits. Yay.
Just.
Like, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't really say much, but as I said, if they don't want to push through with the charges, there's nothing that could be done about it. Unless they've got the physical evidence that they can definitely tie to this person, and then they can charge without having the victim having to be put on the stand or whatever. Especially if there's children involved.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, next week we'll have a bit more of a lighthearted topic to discuss. We make no promises on what that's going to be, but we're hoping that it'll definitely be a little more lighthearted. So, was there anything that you wanted to add, Chai?
On the topic, no.
In general?
Like and subscribe. Thumbs up.
Okay, so we're just going to wrap it up then. All right.
Yeah.
So,
I thought that's what you were going for. Sorry.
oh no, I was just making sure the discussion was ended.
I mean, there's a lot more we could talk about, but I would want to do a lot more research before I said anything confidently.
And maybe take notes as well.
Yeah, make it a whole thing.
Get a notebook and a pen.
Yep.
All right. Okay, listeners, well, thank you so much for stopping by and listening to us drop some horrible, horrible facts and discussions about these awful topics. I would like to say that if you are a victim, when you feel ready, come forward.
Yeah, regardless of age or gender, please come forward.
Do not ever feel like that you should be ashamed of what happened to you. Because I wish I could say that you are stronger now, but you may not feel like it. So just whenever you are ready, if anything has ever happened to you, come forward when you feel like the time is right for you. So if you enjoyed this podcast, please give us a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy it, give it a thumbs down. Maybe let us know in the comments what you didn't like about it, and we'll see if we can, improve, spruce it up, put a little fairy dust on it. And as Chai said, so yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and we hope that you have a great day, night, evening. Have a great time. Bye.
Yep. Bye.